Now we're going to put the information we learned about slope and y-intercept together into slope-intercept form. The slope-intercept form of a line is y equals mx plus b, where the m represents slope like we've been using before, and the b represents the y-coordinate of the y-intercept. We can use the y-intercept to plot the first point, and then we can use the slope to get more points. So if we have y equals mx plus b and the equation's already in that form, all I have to do to find the m is just look in front of the x, and the m is going to be -2/5. Now remember, the negative can go in the top or out in front or in the bottom, and the b is 1. Now the 1 represents the y-coordinate of the y-intercept, so 0, 1. You don't really have to write that, but you do need to interpret that b is the point right here on the y-axis. Now I can use that information to graph. So I start with the y-intercept 0, 1, and then I use my slope, which is rise over run. So I'm going to rise a -2, that's down 2, and run +5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or I could go up 2 and left 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I see that it is running downhill, which is what the slope I was hoping for. Negative slopes run down. And that is how you graph. On the next equation, my b is -6, and we can interpret that as 0, -6 on my y-axis. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I can go ahead and put that right there. My slope is 2. Now, we like slopes to be a fraction, so I'm going to rewrite that as 2 over 1. So I know that my rise is +2, my run is +1. So up 2, right 1, up 2, right 1 as many times as I can. And then I can connect my line. All right, one more. My b in this case is 1, and we can interpret that as 0, +1. My y-intercept, my slope is -3, and I like that as a fraction, so I'm going to rewrite that as -3 over 1. So that's my rise is -3, so that's down 1, 2, 3, run 1. Down 1, 2, 3, run 1. Or I could rise a +3 and run a -1. These are also points on the same line. And that's how you graph from slope-intercept form. Next, I'm going to give you some information, and I want you to write the equation in slope-intercept form. Now remember, the slope-intercept form, I'm going to remind you, is y equals mx plus b. So we're going to read the information and see if we can't find m and b from the information. That's what we're looking for. Write the equation of a line that passes through the point 0, -5. Okay, 0, -5, that's a y-intercept. That means that -5 is the b. And has a rate of change of 4. Well, rate of change is another word for m slope. So now that I have the m and the b, I can write my equation. Y equals 4x minus 5. All right, let's do that again. Write the equation of a line that has a slope of -2/5 and a y-intercept of 3. I'm looking for m and b. Well, slope, that is the m, so -2/5, and the y-intercept of -3. That tells me about b is -3. All right. So I can rewrite this as an equation now. Y equals m, which is -2/5, x plus b. Now my b is minus, so I'm going to go ahead and just write -3. You could put plus a -3. That's also okay. It's just a little bit more work. Okay, and the next one I'm looking for an m and a b. Write the equation of a line that passes through these 2 points, 0, 3, and 1 comma 4. 0 comma 3, that's one of those special points, 0 comma a number, which is a y-intercept. So that is my b. Unfortunately, my slope, I don't know what my slope is. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of work here to find my slope. So to find my slope, I'm going to use the slope formula. I am going to label this x1, y1, x2, y2. So my slope is 1 minus, because there's a minus in the formula, y1, which is 3. In the denominator, x2, which is 4, minus, because there's a minus in the formula, x1, which is 0. So that gets me negative 2 in the top. 1 minus 3 is negative 2. 4 minus 0 is 4. Negative 2/4 reduces to a half. Negative 1 over 2. Now that I have my m and my b, I can write my equation. Y equals m, which is negative 1/2, x plus b, which is 3. And I have some word problems as well. I'm doing the same thing. I want an m and I want a b. Suppose that the water level of a river is 34 feet and that is receding at a rate of 0.5 feet per day. Write an equation for the water level L after d days. Okay, so m is a rate of change. So at what rate is my water level changing? Well, it's receding at a rate of 0.5 feet per day. Now this is a little tricky. Do you know what the word receding means? Receding means going down. So we're talking about going down half a foot a day, 0.5 feet. So my slope is actually negative 0.5 because that is my rate of change, which is an m slope. My b is where my graph starts on the y-axis. Remember how we talked about the b being 0 comma b, right? And 0, so like if we have d days and L water level, at 0 days, initially, what is the level of the water? So we're actually talking about like starting point or initial water level. So let's read it again. Suppose that the water level of a river is 34 feet. So that's what the initial value is. So 34 is my height of the river at 0 days. And in fact, just where it's starting right now. So my b is 34. So I know a lot of students want to write y equals mx plus b, where my m is negative 0.5x plus 34. But we aren't using x and y. We're actually using L and d. And so my L replaces my y, so that gives me the level of the river equals negative 0.5 d. For every day it goes down half a foot plus 34. That's where it started. So the water started at 34 feet and it goes down at half a foot every day. So for us living here in Houston with some flooding issues, this is kind of an important type of equation for us, as we know that where the water level is and how much is it receding every single day as the floodwaters are going down. The next problem, for babysitting, Nicole charges a flat fee of $3 plus $5 per hour. I'm looking for an M and I'm looking for a B. So M is the rate per hour. So that would be 5. Because of it says per hour is telling you that that's a rate. What is the initial cost? Well, the initial, B is the initial where it's starting at, or the starting point. That's going to be $3. Even if you have 0 hours, I'm going to have my babies being watched 0 hours, you're still going to be charged a flat fee of $3. So that's the hours and then the cost. Okay, so 3 is my B and M is 5. So a lot of students want to write y equals m, which is 5x plus 3. But we don't want y and x, we want h and c. C is going to be replaced by y, h is going to replace my x. So the cost is going to be $5 for every hour plus $3 tacked on as an initial fee for her babysitting services. So C equals 5h plus 3. And that concludes our lesson on linear equations.